Hello everybody, how's it going today? My name is KevBottomy and welcome to a Redstone video. Today, we are going to be talking about wireless redstone. Now, if you don't know what wireless redstone is, if you're not familiar with it, it's pretty simple. It lets you send a redstone signal wirelessly. Now, if you couldn't guess, this isn't actually wireless redstone. This is just a cheap little demonstration. There is redstone under there. However, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you 5 ways to actually make wireless redstone. Let's get started. So the first kind of wireless redstone we're going to be looking at is bud switches. Bud switches, also known as block update detectors, will give a redstone output if you update them. So if we give a block update beside this piston, you'll see it gives an output. So we can use this to send a wireless redstone signal across a 1 block gap. So as you can see, we have a repeater here. We have some space, and then our bud switch, and then if we hit the note block, we get a redstone output, and it technically is wireless. Then over here we have a similar design, but this uses a comparator bud switch. So if we update the comparator, you see we get an output, and the bud resets itself. You could send a redstone signal through this gap actually if you wanted to. As you can see, we can safely send a redstone signal in this gap, and these both still work perfectly fine without crossing the wires. And that is about it for wireless redstone using bud switches. You can also do stuff with quasi-connectivity, so for example, if we were to put a block right here above this piston and power that, that would quasi-power the piston, and technically that is a 1 block gap of wireless redstone as well. With that, let's move on to the next method. Alright guys, so our next method of wireless redstone is going to be using Frostwalker. As you can see behind me, we have a little setup here with an armor stand that's wearing some Frostwalker boots. Then here we have some sticky pistons with slime blocks to bounce it back and forth. And then this little contraption here just wires up both of those pistons. Then as you can see, we have this gap, and then water over there, and the Frostwalker is going to freeze the water, giving us a wireless signal that spans a 2 block gap. Then as the ice thaws out, you can use an observer to get multiple outputs, or use a bud switch like we built earlier to just get a single output when the water freezes and another one when it thaws out. Don't really have a whole lot more to add about this method. It's fairly cool, it lets you get a little bit more distance than with the bud switches. However, it's still pretty limited, and also quite slow. And with that said guys, it's time to move on to our next wireless redstone method. Alright guys, so this next one here is really cool. As you can see, we are in a box of tinted glass, and that makes it completely dark in here. So for this method of wireless redstone, we are actually going to be transmitting our signal using light. And these seeds are going to be our receivers. So if we turn off the lamp, you can see the seeds pop off, and our lamp is shut off. And if we turn the lamp on, we can replace our seeds, and there we have it. Theoretically, you can also use a villager to automatically replant the seeds. So if we were to give this guy a whole pile of seeds, and then we turn off the contraption, can get our signal, turn it on, and if the villager cooperates, he should plant the seeds back down. Maybe he's sad that he doesn't have his composter or a bed. Honestly guys, I just don't know villagers very well. Mobs are not my strong suit in Minecraft. Nope, nope, nope. I can build, I can do redstone, but don't make me deal with mobs. Due to the limitations of this concept, I didn't really decide to pursue it any further, Also, I came up with it around the time that Skulk sensors were actually released, so yeah, there's much better alternatives out there, so this wasn't really worth my time. Speaking of Skulk sensors, the Skulk sensor is our fourth type of wireless redstone. You can use them to send signals wirelessly with sound, you can detect certain sounds, and yeah, you can do all kinds of crazy things with them. I'm not going to get into that iceberg today. Detailed videos on the Skulk sensor have been done to death right about this time, so all you need to know is that in terms of usability, it far exceeds the light-based one for sure, and definitely has a better range than the Frostwalker or the bud switches. Now, all of these methods have been really great and cool, and yep, they're wireless redstone, but none of them compare to the final method that I'm going to show you today. But before I do that, I would like to name a few honorable mentions. So you can use a dispenser to shoot things like snowballs at something like a target block, and technically that is a wireless signal transfer. However, I didn't include it in this video because it does require, I guess, a sort of projectile or a particle to transfer the signal instead. Now this is a method that can be used for downwards wireless signal transmission. So if we flick this lever, you can see that lamp turns on, and that just uses these daylight sensors and the block will block it off. And the second one is just to subtract the comparator, so no matter what the strength is, it works reliably. And our final honorable mention involves this guy, the Skulk Shrieker. I was watching an Ilmango video, and he showed how you can disable warden spawning by triggering shriekers on a certain clock. And watching that video, I realized that this could actually be used for wireless redstone as well. The only limitation to this, however, is that you could only use the naturally spawning shriekers, making this wireless redstone method locational. And because of that, I didn't really feel like pursuing that any further. Alright guys, so all of that is out of the way, and now it is time to get into our final wireless redstone method, the one that I call true wireless redstone. Alright guys, so before we begin, I want to be clear that I did not come up with this concept. The mechanic that is responsible for all of this being possible was originally discovered by 2No2Name, and then over time, a YouTuber by the name of Cubicmeter has laid out a rigorous foundation for wireless redstone. And what you see behind me is just what I've been able to kinda deconstruct and learn for myself. It's sorta baby's first wireless redstone, if you will. So I'll show you how it works real quick here. So on the left we have a transmitter, and on the right we have a receiver. We'll start with the receiver. So here we have a clock that's based off of daylight sensors, and this will run on a global timer. All daylight sensors will do that, so this way, when we turn on this clock, and we turn on that clock, they will be automatically synchronized. As you can see, these two droppers are fired in the same game tick, however their update order is controlled by the layout of the repeaters. Sorry, that was really loud, I had to turn it off. Anyway, the basic explanation is that when two items are put into the world in the same game tick, and then they fall, they actually start falling in different game ticks. This will happen in 4 different stages, so item 1 will fall, then item 2, then 3, then 4, and then item number 5 will start falling at the same time as item number 1. 6 will fall at the same time as 2, etc. So we can take advantage of this in order to detect whether or not we are dropping an item at the same time or at different times. And so I'll just show it in action here. So I'll turn on the transmitter. I will turn on the receiver. And because we're using an observer to detect when the dust is turned both on and off, it's okay if these two clocks are not perfectly synchronized. They can be opposite to each other and it'll work just fine. So then over here at the transmitter, we don't have any items coming out right now, but as you can see, we have 3 droppers, so that will let out 3 items in between these 2 firing. So instead of going 1 and then 2, it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one is 5. Meaning that these items will fall at the exact same time, and we can detect that with this output. So, if we hit this button, we will put some items from these bottom droppers into the top droppers. They will fire out at the same game tick as those items, and then we can detect that signal with this detector right there. So let's see it in action. Push the button, get an output. Push the button, get an output. So pretty cool stuff. You can send signals wirelessly. I think the best use for this is obviously teleportation chambers for long distance travel. That way you can hook these up with a chunk loader nearby, push a button, and teleport thousands of blocks away instantly. Let me know down in the comments section if you want to see a dedicated video on this true wireless redstone. It's really cool. I've just kinda started to get it actually figured out. Like I said, check out Cubicmeter's video. I'll leave it down in the description for you to check out. There's a lot of redstoners out there that are a lot smarter than I am, and he's definitely one of them. He can explain a lot of this wireless redstone in much better detail, and he also gets into being able to create different channels without interference and all sorts of stuff. It's super cool, so definitely check him out. But with that said, guys, that's all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button. I hope to see you in another Minecraft video. Goodbye!